I remember this piece of decor like it was yesterday. This I had in my room for so many years and I loved it so much. It's a little hello framed decor piece, and all I used for this project was some yarn, a little frame, some fabric glue, and some canvas. So I first started off by taking my frame here and I glued it down to my duck canvas. Now this frame was, I believe, from Michael's at the time in their little like finished home decor section, but I got it on sale. I thought it was really cute, so I filled it with the canvas, tacked it down with a little bit of fabric glue, or you can use hot glue, and just cut away all that excess once you feel like it is nice and adhered on there. And next what we're going to go ahead and do is use a pencil to kind of map out the word that we're going to do. I just wanted to do the word hello because I have an obsession with writing that word. I don't know why, I just absolutely love writing out the word hello. So I opted for this mustard yellow yarn because yellow is one of my favorite colors, and I used a little bit of hot glue to adhere down the yarn in the loopy cursive font that I chose, which was my own handwriting. I don't know where I was going with that, but I went ahead and I glued it down in this nice little cursive font, and I just love the way it turned out. It just made me happy every single day I looked at this piece, and you can again totally customize this to have whatever word you want on the inside. It turned out really cute. Here we have another IKEA hack for you guys. This was again one of my first ever IKEA hacks on this channel, and I went ahead and I got 3 of these scarf hangers here. And the thing I loved about these scarf hangers is that they actually had like this crocheted edging on them, which I think added so much detail. And I know that IKEA currently does sell these as well. But what I wanted to start off by doing was actually cutting off the little top hanger portion. And every single piece on this is just stitched together with a little bit of thread. So it's very easy to snip that thread and kind of detach the rings if you need to. But I wanted to go ahead and detach the hanging portion and then reattach with a little bit of thread all of the rings together. So I went ahead and I attached 3 sections of this scarf hanger together with a little bit of thread, just doing a couple of stitches between each of them, and you're going to be repeating this process until you have all of your scarf hangers connected. This is so super simple and easy. Just kind of catch the thread, tie it in a good knot, and that really finishes off the process. You can go ahead and hang this on the wall and decorate with some cute little clothespins or little hooks if you have them. I just use this as a cute little inspo board at the time, and I love the way that it ended up turning out. Here we have another super simple macrame project. This is definitely a beginning macrame piece if you're just kind of getting introduced to it, or you want to create a super quick and easy wall hanging. So the supplies that you're going to need is just some yarn, a pair of scissors, and a wooden dowel. So I went ahead and I cut my yarn to about 6-foot lengths of each strand. And for the start of this project, on the very left side, as you can see here, I went ahead and I actually looped 2 pieces of yarn on the start, and then every single section after that, I just did 1 piece of yarn folded in half and then looped onto our wooden dowel. So moving on from there, you're going to be creating, again, more square knots. This project only requires square knots, so it is very, very simple. A square knot is left over right and then right over left, and you're going to be doing this all the way down with the neighboring strand. So you're going to be grabbing a strand from one side, the strand from the neighboring one, and tying them together, and it's going to cascade downwards into a triangle shape until you reach the very end. So I went ahead and just repeated the process all the way down. You can actually go in and swap colors if you'd like to, and I also think it would be fun to go in with macrame cording instead of yarn, to use the macrame cord as the base of the project. And then once I was done, I went ahead and I hung it on the wall, and I used a pair of scissors to just trim away the excess yarn into an arrow shape. I feel like this really gives this piece a little bit more shape and overall a little bit more interest. Back to the dollar store projects, this was what I called a memory mobile, and I created this for $2.50. Now, that silver thing looks a little odd, and that is because it is a Let's Party grilling wok. I don't know why I opted for this, but I found it, and I was like, let's go ahead and create something with this item here. So I went ahead and I cut off 2 sides of the grilling wok, and then we're going to be moving on to our wooden clothespins. So these are some small wooden clothespins that I'm going to be using some black cording to tie a double knot right through the center section of the clothespin and cut away any of the excess strands, and then also make sure to leave probably about 12 to 20 inches of leftover string. That way you have a variance that you can kind of use as you're attaching them to your grilling wok. So here comes the fun part. We're going to be sticking our strands up through the holes that are in the wok there, and I'm going to go ahead and glue them down and then cut off any excess tails. So we basically have a ton of these clothespins that are going to be hanging from that metal section there. I think it probably would have been a little bit cuter if I was to maybe spray paint this black or spray paint it brass, but I went ahead and I tied a strand at the top there, which is going to be our hanger. You can clip all of your memories or mementos here, and it just creates a fun little mobile. Here we have a super affordable take on a mixed metal wall hanging. So this is a moon phase wall garland, and what I used for this was some chipboard, some spray paint, some chain, some wire cutters, and that was pretty much all for the project. So I started off by spraying my chipboard or my thick kind of heavyweight cardstock with some copper spray paint, and then I went ahead and I cut apart a lot of these pieces of silver chain. Now if you want to, you can go ahead and use copper chain as well, but I wanted to go in with silver chain and kind of have that mixed metal look. I really love that when it comes to minimalistic wall art. I think it adds a lot of detail and interest. So I went ahead and I cut those apart, and I actually just hot glued those on to the chain, which I would never do nowadays. I would definitely use a jump ring if I was to recreate this project, but I think back then I didn't have jump rings, and honestly, this was going to be a super lightweight project in the end, so I knew the hot glue was going to hold for sure. And I think the varying lengths of silver chain across this piece kind of give a lot of detail. If you had everything at the same level, it honestly in the end would kind of just look a little bit boring, so I love mixing up the lengths of chain for those vertical sections to make sure that the moons are kind of hanging at different levels once you actually hang it up on the wall. And this is what the chain base is going to look like, and the next step is going to be cutting out some moon shapes. So you can totally print out some shapes if you'd like to, or you could freehand them like I did. I just kind of penciled them onto a piece of paper, cut them out. I love the organic look of it, and I just glued them on with some hot glue, and that finished off your wall hanging.